Here we are live at the hive. This is a hive that I installed the package of bees in last week. So I'm doing an inspection today with three main objectives. First and foremost, I want to find out if the queen got out of her cage. And secondly, has she been on her mating flight? Is she laying eggs? That's the main thing. And then the third thing is, are they bringing in resources, pollen? Are there honey stores in here so that they can have something to eat while they, build up the colony? So that's what we're going to do today. See if that queen's out. See if there are eggs. See if there's food. And check their numbers. It's been cold here since I installed these bees, and that's typically not very good for a small, weak colony. There's not enough of them to cluster together to stay warm, but that's a concern. Oh, they're doing good. No worries. Look on the lid right quick to see if the queen's there, and she's not. This looks good. This is encouraging. Very, very encouraging. So they've eaten part of that pollen patty. They are consuming the resources that I left them. They've consumed about a half a pail of sugar water. Reuse those. They're clustered right here, trying to stay warm, of course. Again, what I'm looking for is to see if the queen is out and laying. Get the hive beetle traps out of here. No hive beetles. That's a very encouraging sign. At least not in that one. Still a little early for hive beetles. There's one in there. They did catch one. Moment of truth, people. Moment of truth. So, I'm excited about this hive because I've done something that I've never done in the past, which is I started these bees off with frames that already have drawn comb on them. So they're not going to have to spend their time building honeycomb or brood comb so that the queen can start laying, which is the very first thing that happens. And they continue to draw out comb until they have enough where they can start their honey stores, their pollen stores. Typically they use all their energy, and you got to keep them fed so they'll have that energy to draw out those frames with wax. But this year I started them out with frames that are already drawn out. These frames came from a hive last year that I split that didn't make it through the winter, but they did draw out their frames, which is good. I use these drawn frames in here so that they got a head start. They do not have to waste their time and energy drawing out frames so the queen can start to lay. I've put frames in there that are already drawn out. Here's one that's partially drawn out, as you can see. This is a good sign here. They've already got some honey stores. It's very, very encouraging. Alright, see, typically a frame is going to look like this. This black plastic foundation that they start to draw comb on. And they've got to draw that comb out like that, all the way across that frame, both sides. As soon as they start drawing out the comb, they'll start using it. But this is what we're talking about. They don't have to spend their energy drawing out comb. I've already put comb in there for them to give them a little bit of a head start. So now I'm going to go straight to the queen frame the one that I hung her cage on. A little smoke on them. The queen cage is on this frame here, so I'm going to go straight for it. Oh yeah, interesting. So let's just see. Is she out? This is the queen cage here. They've almost chewed through that rubber band. These are some interesting critters, boy, I'll tell you. Very interesting critters. So here's the queen cage. And there are bees in there, but they're all workers. They've just moseyed in there because on this end there was a plug of candy, a candy plug. And so the queen was in here with a couple of attendants. So the bees from the outside started chewing the plug from this end, and the queen and her attendants from the inside started chewing the plug from that end until they chewed through and she was released. And she's no longer in there, which is a very, very good sign. Now in 1 week, they've drawn out this comb. It's kind of odd. Looks like drone comb. But anyway, they're all clustered together today because it's cold. I think I'm going to shake these bees off and replace this frame because I'm not crazy about it. The way they've got that drawn out like that. Not cool. Alright. Let's get this weird burr comb off here that they've started to draw, but before I do, I'm going to look for the queen. And eggs. If I see eggs, then I know I've got a laying queen. So far, nothing. I'm just going to take this over here. Get that weird ass comb off there. All this is drawn comb, which they have not used. They've not even made it this far over. That's all the honey stores that I put in there last week. So let's see what's happening right here. I see they've loaded up some pollen, which is good. I'm looking for the queen and she is marked with a red dot. So she should be relatively easy to spot. So far, no good. I'm not seeing her. No eggs in that frame. Let's check this one. Not seeing the queen. Not seeing eggs. See a queen cup though. You see this cell here that this bee is on? This one right here is a queen cup. This is an emergency cell in case they need a queen. They can start right here with this one. And since I don't see the queen, I think that's just a spare cell. They do that. Not seeing any eggs in this frame either. A little discouraging. I would have hoped to have seen her by now. As I said before, she has a red dot on her back, and she should not be too terribly hard to spot. There's 100 different things that can happen to cause you to lose a queen. Number one is when they go out for their mating flight, they mate outside this hive. They actually go on a flight, and the drones will mate with her in flight. They don't mate inside this box. So when she goes on her flight, that's when she's the most vulnerable, namely to birds. Birds like to eat queen bees when they're flying. And that's one way you can lose your queen. Give him a little light smoke. Give that guy some smoke, get him out of that cage. Get out of there, buddy. Hopefully she's on this frame. It'd be great if she was. Highly unlikely, since it is a honey frame. There she is, I see her. I see the queen. Thank God. I'll show her to you in a minute. There she is, right there. Right there she is with the pink dot on her back. She's right over there at the edge. Crawling up the side now. That is so encouraging. I am so tickled pink. I cannot tell you how happy that makes me. There she is right there. Crawling along. That is very exciting right there, boys and girls. Extremely so. So, we found her. That was my main objective, and she is here. So, very, very carefully, we're going to slide this frame over. We know she's on this frame, so we got to be very, very careful when we slide these back into place that we do not crush her. So we give the bees time to get out of the way. Now, I've got a frame over here that has some honey on it. This is all capped honey. I noticed they didn't have a lot of honey. They need it right now. Boy, do they ever. They have very few stores built up. That's a little bit of honey there. I'm going to put this honey frame right here. This is going to give them, that's all honey there on that one side. Well, it's about 75% drawn out, maybe. I'm going to put it in there so that they can have something to survive on for the next little while. Even these frames out. Queen cage empty. Put the beetle traps back in. Put the pollen patties back in. And today I'm gonna give them some bee fondant. This is fondant that you make for your bees in the wintertime. It's basically cake icing with a little bit of vinegar in it. This is basically what bee fondant is. This is what they survive on during the wintertime. This and pollen patties and sugar water is what you feed your bees in the winter. But you cannot feed your bees too much when they're in this state. And when they're trying to grow, which this colony is trying to grow, there's no brood in here. So that queen has not had time to lay eggs and make other bees. Make brood. There's no brood in here, and that I did notice. Come back in a week, next week, if it stays warm weather like it's been, these frames in the middle will be loaded with brood, hopefully. And then this hive will begin to grow very quickly. Alright, so these boys and these girls rather, I imagine there are a few boys in there. Few drones. They got plenty to eat now.